And with that, welcome to Potosi High School for Class 4 District 2 action between the Farmington Knights and the Central Rebels. It's been an interesting week of basketball over here at Potosi. Farmington earlier in the week topping North County by a pretty wide margin. And talking about some of the sights from the game, you would hear a lot of people talk about that even in that game where they blow North County out of the game, that there are still some similarities between how they played there and how they played in the conference tournament. Hopefully, they've been able to iron out some of those problems, and tonight they'll get fired up against the Central Rebels team that's coming off of a big win against the Potosi Trojans here on their home court. It's an interesting little story that's been built between the three schools this season, Farmington, Central, and Potosi, all three having pretty good seasons on their own. Farmington dropping a few games that they feel like they should have won, but typical over the course of a high school basketball season. So it'll be interesting to see how the Knights are able to bounce back tonight. They've been able to beat Central when going against Central both times that they've played them this year, including at the Christmas tournament at the beginning of the season and during the regular season as well. On the Rebels side, the five starters tonight: number 13, Jake Bridges; 20, Alaric Jones; 22, Braden Mannion; 34, Hunter Courtois; and 44, Colin Best. Now, a year ago in the district tournament, the big damage was done by number 13, Jake Bridges. He couldn't miss from three range. Hopefully, we won't see the same tonight, but it has been another freshman that has stepped into that role for the Rebels this year. And that is Brandon Wagner that has been able to step in and do some of the similar damage that Jake has been. Not so much from three range, but just making those key shots at the right times. Switching over to the Knights and their starters. Starting for the Knights will be number 4, Logan England. Number 24, Garrett Callahan. Number 25, Jordan Ankrum. Number 20, Eli Pratt. And number 32, DJ Hardy. Knights, of course, led by the senior group. A total of 8 seniors on this team, many of which spent much of their youth playing with each other. So it's the kind of thing where there's some chemistry between the players, and that usually speaks good things in big game situations like the game tonight. You can obviously see that the battle inside will be a story to watch tonight. It's been a story to watch any time the three of these schools have faced each other, with Coleman being the big guy down low for the Potosi Trojans, Ankrum for the Knights, and Colin Best for the Rebels. And we'll talk about those two men here at the very beginning with the tip-off. And a couple of the big players on Central side, it's just the amount of athleticism between the players. It's the most impressive. And Alaric Jones is definitely one of the more athletic here in the MAAA Conference and in this Class 4 District 2 tournament. Tip ball goes up. It's tipped around, ends up in the hands of the Knights. England bringing the ball down the court. England taking quite a few more shots here in the latter part of the season, something we didn't see early on, but the Knights have been trying to work around for some open shots. Getting it around inside to Eli Pratt. Pratt puts it off the glass and in. Assisted by England. England always the one tabbing up quite a few assists across the night. Jones bringing it in, passes over to Best. Best with the baseline jumper and in. A quick 4 points on the board for the two teams. Ankrum quick down the court. Tries to make the move, instead gets it to Pratt. Pratt, another shot off the glass and in. Make it 4 early on from Pratt. And we'll see if the Rebels can match it. And as I said, it could be some of the inside game that will make a difference. England trying to get a floater off. It's no good. Rebounded by Bridges and Mannion. Bring the ball all the way down the court, out to Bridges. Dangerous hand. So some fast-paced play already early on, and that should be expected for the rest of the night. Decent student sections for a school that's about 20 to 30 minutes away for both of these schools. Bridges with the ball for the Rebels. Tries to work it inside, gets the pass inside, and puts it in the bucket. And that was number 32, Richardson, who just came into the game shortly after the start. Knights with the ball, working it around the perimeter. Gets it inside to Ankrum, gets an open look, and instead ends up being fouled from behind by Best. That'll be the first foul of the game between the two schools, and Ankrum will go to the line for 2. This will be the Knights' first chance to get someone else on the board aside from Pratt. And Ankrum through the bottom. Knights at times here and there have been very successful at the free throw line, but they've had some that have missed in bunches in the early part of the game. It's towards the end that they're usually pretty clutch from the line, and Ankrum will go 1 of 2 to start tonight's contest. Bridges comes down, passes the Best over to Jones. Jones with an open look to the goal. Tries to get the shot off and instead ran into Pratt in the mix. Ankrum trying to bring it down, and it's tipped around by number 22, Braden Mannion. Bridges out of the perimeter over to Mannion. Mannion looking in, closely guarded by Hardy. Hardy not giving him much room, is able to tip the ball and ends up going off the Knights. It'll be Rebels ball underneath their own basket. Jones looking in, gets the pass in, ends up in the hands of DJ Hardy. Hardy bringing the ball down the court for the Knights, hands it off to England. England, one of the supreme ball handlers here in the area. Hard to beat the ball handling skills of the senior from Farmington. Bad pass by the Knights, and that'll be a quick early turnover by the Knights. 5:48 on the clock here in the first. Knights with a 1-point lead from the free throw by Ankrum. And another turnover by the Rebels. So the fast play of the Rebels costing them here early on. And hopefully the Knights can take advantage. England working the side. Callahan starts to take it down, gets the pass off to Pratt. Pratt already with 6 early points on the board for himself. A great pass that time into the middle by Callahan. And as I said, an athletic Alaric Jones coming down the lane all by himself. Hardy with a floater. It's no good. Rebounded by Ankrum. Ankrum puts it back up. It's no good. Rebounded this time by Richardson of the Rebels. Rebels settling things down. Jones bringing the ball down the court. And down the court, face to face with Callahan, and instead it's Pratt that comes out trying to tip the ball from Jones. And it will be the first foul of the evening by the Knights. Hopefully Pratt doesn't get into foul trouble in this game. We've seen him in the past get into trouble here and there on a few games. And the Farmington student section, a.k.a. the 6th man, making some noise, their first noise of the night. Physical play down low. And the foul is going to be called on number 4, Logan England. So he reached around Hunter Courtois of the Rebels just a little bit too much. Jones to inbound for the Rebels. Jones makes a nudge over. Gets the pass into Mannion, back to Jones in the corner. Jones trying to let the other Rebel players get some movement. Instead, Bridges from 3 sinks it in for the first 3 of the night. So the Knights facing the first deficit of the night, 9-7. Hardy from the corner. It's the shot that he usually hits, but he is streaky and he misses the first tonight. Into the corner, and the Rebels with another turnover. England now with the ball for the Knights, bringing it down court. And the Knights once again taking things slow and hopefully be able to see them bounce back and try to tie this game. So far, Eli Pratt with 6 of the 7 points. He's been the main story for the Knights here early on. Ankrum gets it out to Hardy. Hardy starts to bring it in, gets it over to Callahan. Callahan fakes, puts the shot up. It's no good. Rebounded by Pratt. Pratt starts to go back up with it. Stripped away. Ankrum grabs it and puts it in. Knights able to tie it up with the putback from Ankrum. Jones with an open look from 3. It's up, no good. Rebounded by Best. Best puts it back up off the glass and in. So the Rebels spreading their points around between 4 different players so far. Some effective passing and just finding the open shot any way possible. And that time it was just a simple rebound. Callahan for 3. It's up, no good. Rebounded by Jones of the Rebels. Jones bringing it down court pretty fast, and the Knights playing some physical defense and a strip by England. And questionable steal at that point, but Bess is able to put it in. And Bess now being able to tie Pratt for the game lead of 6 points each between the two. And the Rebels have their first 2-possession lead of the night. Knights working the ball around the perimeter. Callahan looking in. Finally gets it into Pratt. Back over to Callahan. Callahan from 3. Tips around and gets the roll. A nice drop in from Callahan to give the Knights their first 3-point shot of the night. And a timeout being called by head coach Mike Harlow of the Central Rebels. That'll be the first timeout between the two teams at the 2:18 mark of the first half. Of the first quarter. So 13-12 the score. As I said, a game that will be battled between these two teams. When you look at the two teams, you would give the nod to Farmington for the better guard play, but it's been some problems here and there on defense this year, leaving some open shots, and you leave someone like Bridges open very many times tonight, or Jones, it will cost you. And Bridges hitting one from about 3 feet beyond the 3-point range, and it's something that you don't expect to see too often from high school players, but if there's anyone in the area that can do it, it's number 13, Jake Bridges. He proved that last year in this very same tournament. Of course, last year that was hosted by the Rebels, so he was able to do it on their home court. This year, a neutral court between the two schools. And another open look for a second by Jones. Jones brings it in and unable to get the basket to go. And the ball is tipped around. Callahan picks it back up for the Knights. Coming down the court fast is Barnes. He can't put it in. And the rebound ends up in the hands of Mannion, bringing it back down the court for the Rebels. And these two teams moving fast several times. Back and forth down the court. Courtois, not one that you expect to take the 3-point shot. Man comes out and ended up losing a step in the process of trying to come out on Courtois. Gave him the open lane to drive down, and Courtois takes advantage of the opportunity, draws the foul from number 25, Jordan Ankrum. That's his first foul. Second foul, make that third foul. Last foul made by England, so 3 Knights with 1 foul apiece. Courtois misses his first from the line, the first free throw by the Rebels so far tonight. (12-13) the score early on, and Courtois misses both at the line. A good foul that time by Ankrum. England bringing the ball down, gets it over to Barnes. Barnes gets it across to Mann. Mann looks inside, instead spins back out to Callahan. A cross-court pass, something that you don't want to see too often in a game. Mann ends up with the ball from Callahan. Callahan nearly had the open look, but Bridges closes quickly. Barnes back on top to England. Mann with a shot. He gets it in from about 10 feet. A nice jumper that time by Brett Mann, something that you'll see pretty often. And Mannion nearly with a wide open look. You see down here in the corner, Coach Callahan couldn't believe he had the open look, but Mannion didn't take advantage, and luckily for the Knights, they're able to bring it back down pretty quick, and England gets blocked by number 34, the senior Hunter Courtois, and now the ball knocked out of bounds. Very fast-paced play so far here in the first quarter between these two teams. And another senior coming into the game for the Knights, number 3, Justin Bain, seeing his first set of minutes in this game. And England nearly ending up with a steal that time. Instead, he ends up getting called for the foul, and the referees are making sure that some of the Knights players realize that some of these fouls are going to be called pretty quickly tonight. England's going to go ahead and take a seat for a second with his second foul already here in the first quarter. Coming into the game for the Rebels and handling the ball just a second ago was the freshman that I talked about earlier, Brandon Wagner. And he's someone that several of the Knights players talking to them today were speaking about and talking about how they didn't care for him very much, and the fact that as a freshman, here he is on the varsity squad, and he can make some noise. He's done it earlier this week in this very tournament. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do against a physical Farmington Knights squad tonight. 11 seconds on the clock. Knights holding the ball for the last shot as they've got the lead and hoping to extend it as they won the tip, so it'll be Rebel ball coming out of the break. Last second shot, Barnes puts it up. It's off the front of the rim, no good. So after one, the score will be 14-13. Knights with the small edge. And part of that in thanks to the 6 points by Pratt. Behind Pratt, you have Ankrum with 3, 1 from the field, 1 from the line. Callahan with the only 3-point shot, and Brett Mann hitting that jumper towards the end to give the Knights the lead. He has 2 in the book so far. On the other side, the Rebels, led by Colin Best so far. He's got 6, a 3-point shot by Bridges, and 2 apiece from both Alaric Jones and Scotty Richardson. Rebels so far 0 for 2 from the line, and as I said, the Knights only with 1 trip themselves. So very fast play, not a ton of points on the board, but not a bad first quarter between these two teams that, as I said, by the end of the night, these two groups will be very tired no matter who wins or loses. Knights to start the second quarter will have Mann, Pratt, Barnes, Bame, and Callahan, the same group that they ended the first half with. Now to inbound the ball for the Rebels will be number 30, Connor Proffer. He's the 6'1 sophomore of the Rebels. Rebels getting several players out on the court. One of those, Wagner, handling the ball right now, tries to pass it back out to Bridges. It's tipped. Knights end up with the ball. Callahan over to Mann. Mann with an open look. Goes off the rim. Nearly took a good night roll, but instead is tipped around. Bame trying to get to it. And not a whole lot of room on the edges of the court here when you're running down the court. There's a nice wooden wall right there on the sidelines. And Bame nearly colliding with that. Instead able to save himself. So now on the other side of the court, Wagner walks it around to Proffer. Proffer with the open look. It's no good. Tipped around. And so far the Rebels not being able to make several shots to start the game. Mann with the shot. It's up, no good. Rebounded by Pratt. He puts it in. So Pratt starting off the scoring in the first quarter. He'll do the same here in the second. A big arcing 3-point shot. Ends up getting tipped back up. Still no good. So early on in this game, here we are at the 6:56 mark. Eli Pratt already with 8 points on the night. And if he continues, you talk about a good night in a big game. Pratt's headed down that road right now, and he has the ball trying to work the shot. He gets it in. A great work, great post move by the senior, number 20, Eli Pratt. Give him 10 on the night so far. Rebels trying to work it inside, moves around, finally gets the shot inside, and it's put in by number 23, Hunter Strange. It's his first basket of the night. And physical play by Bridges is going to cost them a foul, and it's only the second Rebels foul here early on. Barnes to inbound the ball. Takes a simple inbounds pass to Callahan, back to Barnes. Callahan looks across to Bame. Bame looking inside. Instead, dribbles it around himself, back out to Callahan. The group of players out there for the Knights right now, not ones that you're going to expect to take a whole lot of shots outside. Mann gets an open look. It's no good. And Bame gets the rebound, tries to put it up. And on his way up, he ends up getting fouled by number 30, and that'll be his first foul of the night, Connor Proffer, the sophomore, with a foul. That's the third foul by the Rebels. It'll be the second time that the Knights have went to the line on a foul. Bame's first shot up, no good. That'll make the Knights 1 for 3 so far to start the night from the line. The Knights with a couple of quick substitutions. They have 3 of their 5 starters out on the court. Bame makes his second, so Knights now 50% from the line so far. Bridges with the ball for the Rebels. Gets it back across the Strange, down court to Jones. Jones with a little bit of an open look. Ends up trying to pass it inside and goes right off the shoulder of Pratt. Lyric nearly had an open look to the basket. Instead, he decided to pass it last second to number 44, Colin Best, but Pratt was there to intercept the pass and tip it out of bounds. Rebels not having a whole lot of success working the inbounds play. They are finally able to get it in to Strange. Out to Strange. Strange with a look from the top of the key. Takes it inside. Gets it out to Bridges. And Callahan expecting the charge call. Instead, Bridges gets an open look from 3. He drops his second 3 of the night. Give him 6 overall. Knights back to only a 1-point lead. Barnes trying to work the ball inside. Instead, spins it around the perimeter. Back to Callahan. And Bame with an open look. It's no good. Rebounded by Bridges. Bridges starting to bring the ball down court. Passes over to Strange. And Strange started to go up with it and draws the foul in the process. The foul will be called on number 1, Jonah Barnes. That's his first. Knights tallying quite a few fouls here early on. It's 5 fouls now with 5 minutes left here in the second period. Strange's first is up and no good. So the Rebels so far not having a great night from the line. They are 0 for 3. Strange set for his second. He puts it up and in, so make it 1 for 4. 25% to start the night. Callahan inside. Had an open look for a second, and it could have been him or Ankrum. The only man down on the court for the Rebels was Strange. And some rough physical play, and Ankrum quick to help Best back up. It's the kind of physical play that you would expect in a big game situation such as the district finals. And substituting in for Callahan will be number 32, DJ Hardy. Hardy yet to get on the board so far tonight. But get ready, when he gets hot, he'll drain a couple of shots at a time and make a difference in a big way. Pratt with an open look just outside of the free throw line. It's no good. Rebounded by the Rebels, bringing it down court. Best with an open look, and it's no good, and he'll end up with the foul, and that's already 2 fouls by Best. Over the course of the night, Best, the obvious big man for the Rebels. He's been able to really hold his own against the Knights' big men inside all season long. So that'll be an important stat to watch as we carry on. Barnes gets it around to England. England inside to Ankrum. Ankrum works his way and ends up getting the traveling call in the process. Rebels and Knights knotted up at 19, 4:13 left to go in this second period. Inbounds pass to Mannion. Mannion across and down court. Jones with the ball. It's a 2-on-4 situation. They get it back out. Mannion with a 3-point look, and he drains it. That's the third 3-point shot by the Rebels. And as I've said, the Knights at times get pretty lazy and allow those outside shots from the perimeter, and so far it's costing them 3 3-point shots here with 3:48 to go. Ankrum with the shot. It's no good. And Ankrum taking a few shots here early on that just not smart basketball. He's not got the real open look. Strange working it in the post, and it's another look that's not open. And it's something that we're seeing now from both sides in the post. They're not giving a whole lot of window room, which speaks good for the interior defenses of these two teams, but not saying a whole lot on the offensive side. Pratt, the only one having a whole lot of success down low. So he's got, once again, 10 points here in the game so far. England with his first shot of the night. It's no good. Tipped off the front of the rim. England down court trying to intercept the ball from Bridges. And Bridges ends up winning the battle, and England will commit his third foul already this evening. And with that, we're going to get another timeout. First timeout called by the Knights. Score right now 22-19. It's a 30-second timeout called by the Knights. And right now the difference maker in the game, definitely going to talk about the three-point comparison between the two teams. Bridges with 2, Mannion with 1. The Knights so far tonight only with 1. And, you know, when I talk about superior guard play, what I really mean is the passing ability, the ball handling ability. If you're just talking about the shooting ability, I would give the edge to Central. They've got a couple of star players in Bridges, Mannion, Jones, that if you give them the open shot from 3, more often than not, they're going to hit those. So the Knights are going to have to find a way to close those open shots from the perimeter and still try to contain the inside. That's something that they've been good at all season. And once again, an open shot this time with Jones. And just as I'm talking about it, the Rebels take advantage of another open shot look, and that's 4 threes already in this game, 25-19. And the Knights making the same mistakes that we've seen here in the later part of the season. Hardy working down, Pratt with the putback. 12 points by him. If it wasn't for Pratt, the Knights would be in some serious trouble tonight. Mannion on top, Strange with the open look. Give him another 3. It is raining all over the place for the Rebels. Rebels 5 3-point shots here in the first half. Something, well, like I've said time and time again, and I'll say it all night long, can't give the Rebels open looks. And once again, when I'm talking about giving the shooting edge, the Knights making that apparent here in the past couple of minutes. Right after I talk about it during the timeout, Hardy gets an open look. It's no good. Anytime the Rebels have gotten an open look, I believe so far tonight they are a total of 5 for 7 from 3 when they get those open looks. Rebels bring the ball down the court. It's Jones with the ball. Trying to work Hardy. Gets a shot, or gets a pass over into the corner. Jones with an open look for 3. No good. Rebounded by Courtois, and it will be the jump ball call. So it'll be the Rebels to inbound the ball. Nice job by Barnes to break up the shot and get the jump ball. Caldwell working in the post for the Rebels. Caldwell with the pick. Knights try to switch defenders and ends up getting tipped around. And it's an offensive foul. And the foul being called on Caldwell. Doesn't get very many minutes in the game and commits a quick foul. It turns into a possible costly turnover for the Rebels as they have a 7-point lead here in the second quarter. 1:42 on the clock. Barnes with the ball. Gets it tipped. Barely is able to retrieve it back. Callahan with an open look from 3. He drains it in. Callahan, 2 3-point shots to match Bridges. And right after making the 3-point shot, he's going to commit his first foul of the night, and that's already the 7th foul. So the Rebels will be in bonus, but with 1:29 left to go, might not be a bad thing because they can't get 3 points from the line at least, and that's been dangerous so far. 5 3-point shots by the Rebels. They'll only have a chance at hopefully 2 as long as the Knights could do their job on the boards after this free throw shot. First one drops through. That's the second made free throw on the night. So they are now 2 for 5 from the line on the night. Bridges with his second. It ends up rolling around the rim. It's no good. Rebound is tipped around. Ends up going off the hands of Barnes, and it'll be Rebels ball. So just as I talked about, they're going to have to do their job on the rebound. Yeah, that's what they do. Rebels trying to get the play set up. Gets it into Richardson on top to Jones. Jones picks up his dribble out to Mannion. And so far, the Rebels already with 1 point with this trip on the floor. Not much moving around at the moment. 1 minute on the clock. And the Knights doing a great job of being able to tip the ball. Bridges with a pull-up jumper. He sinks it in. And that's his first inside the three-point line tonight. Give him a total of 9 so far this evening. Boehm trying to work it in. Gets it over to Brett Mann. Mann looks on top. Callahan gets some room. And the Knights trying to get the play set up. Mann with the pick to send Barnes out on top. It's tipped around. Physical play by Jones. And he'll get the foul call. It's his first on the night, only the 6th foul so far by the Rebels. Barnes with the inbound, gets it to Callahan. And with 18 seconds on the clock, I imagine the Knights will hold it for the last shot once again. They'll get the ball out of the break after the jump ball call. 8 seconds. Callahan nearly with an open look, gets it over to Bridges, and instead the Rebels could have a chance of putting the last shot in. And a leaner by Mannion, it's no good. And we'll go into the half with the Knights down by 7. It's 31-24. It's again another low-scoring affair so far by the Knights, and it all comes down to, once again, the shooting ability of these two teams. Rebels with 5 threes. We'll talk about the stats a little bit more when we come back from the break. Thank you for watching here on Night Vision Media. Aaron Murray will be right back with you after the break.